Hello, fellow listeners. Calling the council to session. I am Judge Junky residing. To my right, I have Judge Traumatized Ewok.
Afternoon, folks.
And below me, I have Judge Volio.
G'day.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Well, let's start off. What's everyone been playing?
This week I have mainly been playing Halo Infinite.
Ooh.
Halo Infinite, and boy, am I not disappointed.
You've been playing a bit of Halo Infinite, have you, Bay?
A bit of Halo Infinite? No, right. Yeah, so I have been.
Let's stop that.
Yeah, let's stop that. We might offend someone. No, to be fair, I have been kicking the bejesus out of Halo Infinite and loving every minute of it. Saying that, though, I didn't kick as much of it out of it as I should, unlike a certain other Ewok, because I didn't get my Tensei armor.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Halo this week. Absolutely loving it. The Fiesta event was fun, like just mad. I mean, literally just the same game modes but random loadouts, which was just so much fun. You'd have certain games where you just blow everyone away, and other games where you were just getting like close range stuff, so you're just getting slaughtered. But regardless, it's been so much fun. I've been loving it. Gameplay wise, it's just been off the scale. So my game of the week so far. Game of the week.
I've been a bit around the houses, really. So obviously, it's been very, very, very busy in work because I work at a certain retailer that's very, very busy all the time. Getting all your orders here like a little Bezos Santa Claus. So when I have had time to kick back and relax, I've tried to just sort of play something like light-hearted. I say that I've been playing Divinity.
Right,
yeah,
so
light-hearted, yeah.
So basically, I'll turn on Divinity and I'll spend an hour doing one battle or organise my inventory. Literally spending a whole hour organising inventory and going, well, that's my game time finished. Off it goes. See you tomorrow. I have played a little bit of Halo, not as much as you guys. I'm still not sold on it, if I'm being completely honest. I know it's controversial. I'm very, very, very much looking forward to the campaign. But insofar as the multiplayer, although it's fun, I still think the TTK for me is a bit too high.
Well, that was one of the things that was picked up on it, alongside the whole battle pass shenanigans. And we can't not mention Halo without that. So obviously, the big thing about the fact it was taking too long to get through one level. So obviously 343 listened to the fans and were able to put a hotfix out so that now, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but your first game awards you, is it 300 for your first game, 250 for your second game, and then 100 for your third game, or challenges as may be?
Yeah, I think it's 300 to the first, 200 to the next two, and then 100 for the next three, and then it drops down to the 50 again, and obviously any challenges that you can complete. So if you do your first 6 games, you'll get through a level.
At least.
Well, I've obviously not played since that happened, so I'm still level 2.
Okay, well, a confession would be that prior to convening today, myself and Ewok may have partaken in some Halo last night, and there may be some content with a capital K.
just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the pass up until now has been an absolute grind. I mean, they released something last week which was giving you 50 points per game for playing. But the only way to advance the battle pass really has been doing the challenges, and the challenges do not kind of reward you for team play.
No. I mean, I'll put it to you guys as well, is the one thing that's kind of really getting under my skin about Halo as well is there's no level system, so you don't actually know how well you're doing in the game. There's no sort of basis to go off your skill-based matchmaking either, because in the previous games, like your Master Chief Collection now, but like your Halo 3s and 2s in the day, you'd see somebody that was like a level 10, a level 20, level 30, and you go, he's put a fair few hours in, he must be decent. And so when you were getting matched up against these people, you knew you could kind of gauge yourself that you were doing all right. To not have that leveling system in there, so you can't gauge, I don't know whether it's a clever tactic by 343 or whether it's pulling the wool over your eyes.
You know what? You just mentioned level system, and I've been so busy, like it's passed me by. But I've remembered now why I actually stopped playing Halo. So I had a bit of a bad experience on Halo. I tried ranked. I had 2 games and it was okay. I think Ray was actually there. Traumatized Ewok was there, and when I was running and helping someone capture the flag, things were going perfect. The team was working great. Next game I played was a capture the flag game. Launched me in with one other person against 4 people. And I thought, well, this is just a write off straight away. So we went for 4-0. They captured the flag every time. Like they captured our flag 4 times in a matter of like a minute and a half. And bearing in mind the matches are quite long if you don't play the objective. They obviously realised this is what was happening and they were going to win the game straight away. And then they went, no, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do for the next 9 minutes is just spawn you for kills. So for 9 minutes, instead of quitting the game, I had to play for the most torturous game of Halo I've ever played in my life, where we literally just got farmed for kills because they wouldn't do the objective and we had no chance of getting the flag off them.
To be honest with you, that's got little to do with the level system, if I'm honest, because that's still happening now. I mean, we can attest to that. Last night, we got our eye wiped by a team that were just clicked and working together. And I mean, if we would start bugbearing about Halo Infinite multiplayer, considering it's a free-to-play system, and you put it up against the other free-to-play systems out there, there's been the whole argument about cross-play again. Well, for Xbox players, that's easily dealt with now because we can go into our settings and turn off crossplay. Okay, you can't actually do it in the settings of the game. You have to go into the settings of your Xbox onto your account privacy and block crossplay. Okay, now I've also done that for another AAA title at launch recently, Battlefield, and my God, does it make a difference when you do that? I don't know why, and it shouldn't, but it does, and it makes the game feel exactly like it should. The other bugbear is at the moment as well, when you're going in as a party, especially on like big team battles, it will still split you up, and I can't understand it.
Was it last night? How many games did we have last night? And we were in the same squad twice.
Unreal. Yeah.
And then you end up, because you want to play with each other, you're looking around for the name, right? And usually you'd look for the green names and like, there's my squad sound, but no, you're looking around. So you were looking for anyone that began with T, and you start running towards them. It wasn't me.
There was titties and Traumat and something else, and then I finally found an Ewok.
Usually my corpse by that point. But it's frustrating. So you jump in as a team, and you're not put in as a team like you would be on any other game. It just doesn't seem right. But like looking at the progression as well, the battle pass system. So they just had the event, which is a free battle pass for everyone. Fantastic,
I was surprised, but to be fair, I thought they were going to charge us for it.
Yeah, but I did every single event-linked challenge this week and only got to level 7 on the pass. And you can only progress the pass by doing event-linked challenges, and you don't always have event-linked challenges in your list. So I found myself jumping between Fiesta and then Quick Play to knock out a couple of the other challenges, and then back into Fiesta as soon as one turned up. When I would have rather just stayed in Fiesta and just had some like random gun fun.
I'm still quite surprised that they brought out an event during a beta. To be honest, that's new territory.
This is what's getting to me, if I'm honest with you. It's not a beta, let's be honest. It's meant to be the full game released early. But the reason why they've given the beta label is because if anything does go wrong, they can, but it's a beta though. And they're abusing the term beta. And obviously this is something that we have brought up before on this podcast. The misuse of the word beta. And if I'm honest with you, we've only got, a week left now till it actually drops officially. In fact, a week today. I think it is. I can't wait. Like literally, I can't wait. I am going to be like a kid at Christmas. And I mean, the wounding thing for me, and people that were watching my stream last night would know that unfortunately, due to ice hockey commitments, I've got editing to do that week, so I'm not going to get as much time as I hoped on it. But I will be getting some content out.
I will not be getting as much time as I hoped on it. 1, because of work, and 2, because a certain anniversary event's happening the exact same day.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not installing that again.
Which doesn't, which means, to be fair, that comes with its own controversy.
Ooh, enlighten us, please. Bring us to the light, little one.
So again, like something we've discussed on the podcast, Destiny has its own sort of like monetary systems, and they've recently announced that the anniversary event's not DLC. It's not like a battle pass. It's more like an expansion. Therefore, if you purchase it on an Xbox, so you had, everyone knows Destiny's cross-play, cross-save, cross-platform. If you purchase it on the Xbox, you can only play the anniversary event on the Xbox. You'd have to repurchase it for Steam and repurchase it for the PS5 if you had all those consoles.
Wow. Okay.
So essentially, I can't remember the exact price of it, but I'm pretty sure it costs about the same. So a battle pass usually costs about £10, or a season pass about £10. I think this is going to cost about 20 to 30, so about the same as what a normal expansion would cost. I think this is just a taster of what we're going to have going forward with the new model, where you're buying your dungeons separately from your actual like expansions and your battle pass.
That's
Obviously,
cool.
everyone used a dungeon, a new map used to be included in your season pass. Now it'll just be a season pass, will include your story elements, and then you'll purchase your dungeon separately. So everything's being compartmentalized and itemized. But the downside of that as well is, obviously, you can buy your season pass now, transfer across all your consoles, but your content will be locked to that console. So people like myself, pretty much, if I'm going to jump from like PC to Xbox, I'm pretty much just going to play PvP on both, and then just play my DLC on one.
Yeah.
But
does that not defy the whole point of what Destiny was meant to be, though?
It seems like a bit of a step backwards. I don't want to spend loads of time on it because, you know, it's Destiny and I can talk about it all day. It's not a Destiny podcast. But yeah, that's happening on the same day as Halo. So I think I will be invested in that, and I'll do the dungeon. I'll do the little tidbits to come along with it. Get all the armor. I think they're bringing out like a one of those little quest books to get, like
I remember.
At the end of the year type thing. I can't remember what it's called. So I'll probably jump into that, and then probably jump on that for a week, and then I'll be done. Then I'll be me out my system, and I'll be on Halo, and then back in for Witch Queen.
One of us. I
think like come just like on Destiny for a minute. My issue with Destiny, with all the expansions and the season passes and everything like that, is if I'm playing a free-to-play game, I don't mind buying a season pass. You know, it's free to play. If I'm going to play it, I want to support it. Destiny 2 isn't really free to play. The base game might be, but what can you do in the base game now apart from create a character? You know, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's well said.
You buy all of the expansions, and then you buy an anniversary pack. And then they say to you, oh, by the way, if you really want all the content, you're going to have to give us more money every 3 months. You can take Bungie out of Activision.
What other game does that?
But, you know, you can take Bungie out of Activision, but...
Well...
You haven't taken Activision out of Bungie, have you? Let's be
honest.
I
think it's sort of blurring the lines between what's free to play and what isn't free to play. Like, is it really free to play? And like... I think it's a controversy myself, the fact that, like, obviously Forsaken's disappearing when Witch Queen comes out. So you're buying more stuff, but they're taking content you've already bought off you.
Yeah, touched on that.
That's
the pilot episode.
The other thing I can't understand, right? If you've now essentially put Destiny in the free-to-play pigeonhole, right? You look at other free-to-play titles that are in there. Okay, so we've got Warzone. We've got... I've just had it in my head and I can't even think now. It was like the mech suit game. I can't even remember what it's called.
Yeah, Warframe.
That's it, Warframe. That's the one. Thank you. So you got Warframe in there, and other games like that, right? Where they have brought content and passes out in the past. Fortnite, another classic one, right? There's content available that you can purchase. There is mini passes, what we call microtransactions. Okay, now microtransactions to me generally means free to play. I get that. But then microtransactions crept out the free-to-play pigeonhole and started infesting mainstream gaming. And for some reason, Destiny has taken this too far. So I wouldn't even put it in a free-to-play game pigeonhole anymore. It's created its own entity, and it's getting very dangerously close to similar to the WoW model, where unless you purchase the latest expansion, which then changes the core mechanics of the base game as well, then, you know what I mean? I don't think console players are ready for that. That's why you'll never see World of Warcraft on console. Because A, it doesn't translate properly, and B, the mechanic of that style of gameplay doesn't work on console.
I think like you hit on the head there. Like if you don't have the latest content, you can't play. Destiny 2 leaves Game Pass next week, just in time for the 30th anniversary stuff, just in time for Witch Queen to drop. If you don't own any of the expansions and you've been playing it, basically your game's over unless you go and buy all of the expansions now. Personally, I only have to pick up Beyond Light. But I'm in a position where I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it for a while. So I'm probably not going to touch Destiny 2 for a while. I might kind of line it up just in time for Witch Queen, maybe. I don't know. But
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
But
I think one last thing I'll say about Destiny before we jump on to another subject, and this sort of ties in with Halo and the controversy they've had with their Battle Pass. I think everyone needs to be on a baseline with Battle Pass. I think everyone can agree, as far as Battle Passes are concerned, as much as people love and hate COD for what it is and Warzone, the Battle Pass is top notch. I'd say it's actually probably value for money. The Warzone Battle Pass, probably the best Battle Pass, alongside maybe Fortnite.
There we go.
Fortnite.
So to be honest with you, Fortnite led the way.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just the ability to sort of gain the in-game currency to rebuy your Battle Pass. If you're investing in that game, you're going to get it back type thing. They know people will drop off and won't do it, and will have to buy the next Battle Pass anyway. So it's not as if they're going to constantly lose money from it. So
talking of that, one of the big things again, Epic Games. So we talk about Fortnite briefly there. Rocket League did that. Rocket League changed their transactional currency and changed the blueprint method up so that you used to go from buying keys to unlock like the drops you used to get, to having to have these blueprints, then purchase points to unlock the blueprints to unlock the car or the decal or whatever it was you wanted to do. And it was absolutely ridiculous. And I can tell you now, since they did that, over 30% of players have refused to buy the pass since, because you don't get enough points in the pass to cover the next pass. You're always short. So they got it right with one game, got it wrong with the other.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Speaking of Rocket League, should we segue into a bit of news?
Because
I know someone's been playing a bit of Rocket League, and not on the platform you'd expect.
No, so obviously this at time of recording, but so 1st of December. Yesterday, the 30th of November, Rocket League Sideswipe dropped. Now, Rocket League Sideswipe is a mobile game of Rocket League.
Pray tell.
And is addictive as anything. So for those that are wanting to know how the hell it plays, I can guarantee now when you've been scrolling through Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, any of them, you'll have seen an advert at some point for that football header game, like the big headed characters where they got to try and head it over each other into the goal. Imagine that, except it's the Rocket League cars and they jump and fly, and it plays superbly. And there's a singles mode, a doubles mode, and even the hoops mode is in there as well. And I've spent many an hour already and killed my phone battery twice playing it, and it's awesome.
And that's why I will not be downloading it.
Oh no, it's epic. It is.
I don't need that kind of vice in my life.
Dan downloads that, then meme production falls through the floor.
Oh, you can't have that coming out. The king of memes. But there's a free pass on there. Now there is option to buy optional content, but you don't need it. You get free unlocks in the form of cars, paints, decals, hat toppers, everything you want, goal celebrations, boosters. It's all free. And you can even log in with your Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, your Steam, your Epic account, anything, or you can create a whole new account, and it is superb.
I might need to take a look at that.
Right, sticking on the subject of mobile games and new releases, I had the somewhat, I don't know whether to say good fortune or enjoyable time of playing the new Final Fantasy game on mobile. So I got to play the new Battle Royale, First Soldier, on my iPad. It came out this week, or it came out in a beta form. We won't go back into that topic. And basically, in a nutshell, it's a mobile version of Fortnite with Final Fantasy assets, which sounds on the base of it like people will go, oh, Fortnite works really well.
Oh, okay.
On the face of it, it works really well. Where it sort of falls down for me is the fact it's on mobile. If it was on console and the UI, it was mapped out better for like a pad rather than like a touchpad. And I spoke to one of my friends, Expert Terminal, who's like a massive mobile player. And I'm sure he will be all over it. I'm sure it'll play like COD Mobile maybe, and like he'll be like completely on top of it. Me, I was just terrible at it. I can appreciate it for what it was. The tutorial was very in depth. It took me about an hour to get through it, and there was so much stuff there from the original Final Fantasy. There was a lot there for the fans. Everything seemed to be like pretty good. Visually, it looked really good. I actually like the premise. It worked. I didn't think it would work, but it does work. It's PvE versus PvP, so there's actual enemies in the game as well as like the 100 people you drop in. And a rough sort of guide. The story is basically it's 30 years before the events of Final Fantasy VII, and this is like a training ground for recruit soldiers. Soldier being the elite force, not the Shinra Guards, but the elite force of the Shinra Corps in Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, it's just a battle royale. It's just a Fortnite-esque battle royale with Final Fantasy assets, and I think potentially, you know, if it takes off right, it could do quite well. Not for me, not my kind of game, but it's definitely worth a look at if you're into that kind of thing. Anyway,
I think games like that are targeted mainly at kind of like, you know, the Oceanic and Asian audiences, aren't they? Because they play a lot of mobile games.
Yeah, definitely.
And with it being Final Fantasy,
exactly.
Yeah,
that'll be huge. I mean, can you hook up a pad to the phone to play it?
You can hook up a pad, so I did try my pad, but for me the input lag was it just wasn't quite there, and the button mapping as well was a bit off. That's sort of thing that like I did 2 games, and I was just like, yep, not quite ready. Needs a bit more time in the pot. As I said, it's a beta or a preview release. So we'll see how it goes. It might be someone that crops up again, but I thought it might be worth mentioning. Big news, big sort of news. I know we mentioned Epic earlier on. I don't know if you have heard about it. Epic actually made a massive purchase this week, which might have like fallen below the radar. Epic bought Harmonix, which is
I saw that. Yes,
of
Rock Band,
yeah. And this is basically to start putting like bigger scale concerts in the game in Fortnite. Obviously, they've had success with this in the past with
interactive. I think is what they were trying to make them now.
Ariana Grande, Travis Scott. We'll not go into that for obvious reasons. And other stars, and obviously they're trying to expand on that. So it's one of those ones that like it is big news, but it might have just like flew past a few people who aren't really into that kind of thing. But
there was talk potentially of a new IP as well, wasn't there? It was something to do with like discovering the backstory of like a person from a band and playing through their story. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see. But it's not somebody you would associate Epic to have picked up. But then when you look at the character models and the sort of graphic styling, you can kind of see why. So it's really going to be interesting to see what comes out of that collaboration. Very quickly as well, guys. Battlefield, obviously, we've talked about it previously in the past as well, and we mentioned like the likes of the niggling issues with Halo. Battlefield, when it dropped, received unprecedented criticism up on, especially Steam, I think was the main source of it. There was over 30,000 negative reviews on Steam. And it's not had the best drop, let's be honest with you. Now, some of us have found little workarounds again, turning off the cross-play, you know, playing it in with friends. Don't go in solo, for God's sake, otherwise it just ruins it. But this week they did do a hot patch. So one of the things of hot patch straight away was the bloom of the guns. So what that generally means is when you're firing, the bullet spread will stay within a cone of area of effect, so that it was a tighter shot. There were a lot of complaints about that the PC users were able to use the vehicles a lot easier than the actual console users. They've patched that now. Again, though, simple workaround, just turn off crossplay. But interestingly, and it didn't get much coverage, was Battlefield Portal. Now, the Portal side is the actual game creation side, the making your own game. And a lot of us initially thought it was going to be like Forge mode from Halo or something like that. And it's furthest from. Okay. Now, I have taken a deep dive into the Portal. So let me please share my knowledge with you. So Battlefield Portal is, upon the face of it, more like a custom game creator. Okay. So you have a set base of game modes you can pick from, which are Conquest Large, Conquest, Rush, Free For All, and Team Deathmatch. Okay. Now you think, okay, I can do a lot with these, given the parameters of those game modes. I could work a lot. So the first thing it asks you to do is, well, what maps do you want to run it on? So it will give you a palette of the maps. Now you have all the Battlefield 2042 maps available. You have the Battlefield 1942 map that they've put in, or two that are there. The 2 Bad Company maps, the 2 Battlefield 3 maps, and they're very clever because they've done it so that the 2042 maps are the largest maps you can play on. But then they've done it where they've shrunk it down so that the likes of Caspian Border and Noir Canals and stuff from Battlefield 3, they were their largest maps at the time. So then they've called them the medium maps. So then what they've done is they've made it so you can select the 2042 maps at a medium scale. And then again, they've given you the option to select all the maps at a small scale. So you can have different variant size maps in there. They've also given you the option on the next sort of tab over to player count. Now, when you go past 64 players, it notifies you that not everybody will be able to play these game modes. That's giving the nod to the fact that the Xbox One users will not be able to play anything more than 64 players because they're capped at 32 versus 32. So immediately, it kind of takes into consideration that when you're building your game, you've got to make it either make it for everyone or you're making it for next gen users only. Right. And it is good in that aspect. So you'll set all your stuff up, like your soldiers, number of soldiers, how many are you having on a team? Are you going to make it odd so that, one team has more soldiers than the other? Are you going to make it even? Now, don't get confused. That isn't ticket allocation. That is literally how many players you're allowing to play on that team. You can then put down how many specific type of one soldier you can have on that team. So you could lock it down so you could only have 1 medic, 1 support, 1 recon, and 1 assault on each team. Or you can have multiple of the same character. And that's how it works as well. It's a character class system. So they say, do you want to allow multiple characters of the same character, or do you just want one of the characters? So once it's been selected, it's locked in. Very similar to the Hazard Zone mode. As you would expect, it's very generic in the sense of as you're going through, it's just sliders. What sort of damage do you want your weapons to do? What movement speed do you want your soldiers to do? How quick are they going to respawn in? Are they going to have the ability to spawn on the team leader? Are they going to go to a down state? Are they going to be able to have the ability to crawl? Is it insta-death? What are they going to drop when they die? Is it just ammo? Is it a weapon as well? So very quickly, you find yourself absolutely tsunamied with very, very similar game modes. Oh, I've made a team deathmatch with 20 soldiers instead of 30. So, okay, so what's the difference? Well, there's 20 soldiers instead of 30. And there's the core element of each game is identical. There's just slight tweaks and variations.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, considering what they offered and what they told us, it's not that at all. And remember, guys, you've got to do this on a website separately, build it all on there, then you can go onto your console and play it.
Seems to be a running theme of companies offering something and then actually giving something that's completely different.
Well, it seems the game industry these days, isn't it, mate? But to be honest with you, there is something out there for Battlefield that is promising. Okay, and that is the fact that when you select the free-for-all mode or the team deathmatch mode, there is a rules editor. Now, the rules editor is actually a logic builder, so it's an ifs and what ifs statement builder. But the UI that they've given to do it, and the understanding you need to be able to create even just the most basic thing, you need to have qualified with some sort of PhD in rocket science and game dev. It is unreal.
So it's not really intuitive.
Not at all. Now, my best advice for you would be, if you're watching this, obviously on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, go and type Battlefield Portal logic editor in the search bar after you watch this episode, and go and watch the extent of some of the people that have built game modes. Now, there are people that have been able to manipulate the logic editor using base game modes and create stuff like Hard Zone in Battlefield, Hardpoint, and stuff.
I was just about to say, like, to me, this sounds like a modder's tool more than like an average Joe kind of tool.
That's exactly what it is.
And personally, I know with the best intentions, they probably had like, oh, this can be easy to use and everyone can do it. I'm not actually that bothered by it. To me, I'm happy for someone else to go out there and make these modes that I'm going to enjoy, because like things like Dreams, I've got the vision to make something that's going to be great.
Yeah. I'm what they call a creative director. I need somebody that can actually
put in mind this week.
I need a lead developer. That's what I need.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly what it is, and that's what you're finding already.
I'm happy with that.
There are those guys out there that know exactly how to manipulate this logic editor, and they are creating some stuff like Hardpoint. Like we've already seen custom gun games where if you get meleeed, you go down a rank. If you, once you hit a certain gun, you need multiple kills with that gun before you can move on a level. Where they've got a custom UI coming in to tell you how many kills you've got. When a UI to let everybody know when everyone's on the last kill. So there are potential game modes out there, but unfortunately, because of Battlefield's access to it, everyone thinks they can do it. Everyone realizes that they can't do much with it, or they just copy everybody else's game mode. So your actual selection and tool to be able to go in and navigate these games to play them, you're just flooded and whitewashed out with the same thing, copy and pasted so many times. So these little gems are hard to find.
It's like a Mario Maker. They need to have a better UI to sort of like maybe like an editor's choice. Maybe like a certain a certain person at DICE could turn around and go, "Oh, these are the 10 best modes we found this week," and put them on like a block rather than having a shovelware sort of.
Yeah, that is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, I get you. No.
Some like game editors and stuff like that. One of the surprises for me has been Forza's Event Lab.
Ooh.
Yeah, because
I'm talking about something being intuitive, easy to use, and literally your creativity being the only limit. It's brilliant, but that has been flooded with people taking advantage of certain glitches or certain assists that were basically be allowed to use. Yeah. But I mean, the only limit it gives you is
surely not.
The only limit it gives you when you're creating the race is it can only be 40 miles long. Well, no, not that it can only be. The maximum it can be is 40 miles long, like 40 mile race. I mean, Mark, my friend, he made one absolutely fantastic track, dream to drive. The only problem is when you're making it, basically. You've got to drive the route and then put in the checkpoints. But say you're driving a Ford Focus and you're just cruising around at 100, like 50, whatever, so you can make the route. It only takes into account your braking line when you're making the route. So if you then jump into like a Lamborghini, you've got a Ford Focus braking line.
Oh.
So you can't. So that's the only downside to it. But in terms of
to be
creativity and
fair,
what you can do with it, it's
if you're
fantastic.
playing Forza Horizon and you're driving a Ford Focus, you need to have a word with yourself.
Hey!
Hey, it's one of my favorite games.
Talk about,
favorite
talk
cars
about
in the game.
dreaming big. If you go down your local showroom and drive a Ford Focus,
Other cars are available. Shall we move on past the news, gentlemen, and let's get down and gritty to it?
Yes.
So one of the other things to come out of this week's news and bits and bobs, and nice segue into the next bit, is the Game of the Year awards. Now, we've had a look at the nominees, and I'll be honest with you, there are some questionable games on here. I'll just run through. There's like best esports team, best esports athlete, best esports game, best sports game, best sim game, best family game, best fighting game, most anticipated, best roleplay game, best action game, best AR/VR game, best debut by indie title, best mobile game, and all the other ones you can expect. But it's not unfair to say, unfortunately, that due to the way it's been done, there are a lot of mentions for a certain Ratchet and Clank game.
Yeah.
It's almost as if, now I'm not saying it's happened, because that would be wrong, but it's almost as if Sony have paid to sponsor this.
Well, you look at the way the Game Award nominees are put together. They're put together by media and influencer outlets. A jury of, I think it's about 103. They decide what games are going to be shortlisted in each category. And you'd think, fantastic, a jury kind of, putting together the list, and then the public will vote on them, and the public will be like, we want this to be Game of the Year, or most anticipated Game of the Year. But no, that same jury gets 90% of the vote.
Yeah.
And the public gets 10% of it. So actually, the public's vote doesn't really count in this. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, for example, gentlemen, I shall give you now the Game of the Year nominees, okay? So this is for the whole shamoli, the big shebang. Okay. Deathloop. It Takes Two. Metroid Dread. Psychonauts 2. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, or Resident Evil Village. They are the Game of the Year options. Could you think of anything else that should be in there?
Forza Horizon 5.
Hang on. I will say this. I think the Game of the Year awards, certain games are always hard done to purely by their release date. So every year, if you look without fail, the Game of the Year, the Game of the Year nominees that tend to be like up there tend to be games that are released beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think legitimately that's why things like Forza this year, obviously COD never gets into it and probably shouldn't, because I was speaking to a traumatized Ewok about this. If it came down to like viewers awards, there's far too many people that played like Call of Duty to make it illegitimate. And I think Xbox sometimes suffers from this as well, because obviously the bigger player base, we are Xbox biased, Microsoft biased, is PlayStation. So, there's always going to be a higher amount of people that will, even the judges themselves, like the influencer creators and journalists, will gravitate more towards Sony. So even if they're not being paid off, most people tend to be with Sony. So there'll always be a higher people putting that forward. But yeah, I think it's mainly games that come out towards the beginning of the year that have a better chance of getting Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about, obviously, Forza there. Forza does feature in the best sports/racing game alongside, obviously, FIFA. F1 21.
FIFA 17.
Yeah. FIFA 2022, F1 2021, Hot Wheels Unleashed, and Riders Republic.
I mean,
Riders Republic, really.
To be fair, given the genre as well, there's not much option, is there? I mean, I can't see how Forza does not walk away with it, given that like every FIFA is a carbon copy of the previous FIFA. F1's pretty niche, really.
F1 2022 is brilliant. So it's 2021 this year. I've got it. It's
F1's
brilliant.
21, yeah.
It's a brilliant game, but as Junky says, it's niche.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If
It's
you
very
don't like
niche.
F1, you're not going to like F1, are you?
Yeah.
Even if you like F1, you might not like playing video games.
Right, well,
So-
here's one for you as well, right? Which obviously they've removed the first-person shooter category this year, so there is, because let's be honest, you've only got what you've got. Like, you got Halo, you got COD, you got Battlefield, you got Splitgate, and then maybe there's one more, maybe Overwatch or something like that. And every year, for some reason, COD walks away with it when it shouldn't. Okay, this year's best multiplayer. Okay, nominations are Back for Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, or Valheim.
Okay.
But you mentioned one that should have been in there straight away, just before.
Splitgate. Splitgate is not mentioned in any of the Game of the Years. I've been right through the list. I can't find it anywhere. And for me, for 1047 not getting recognition, to bringing back the arena shooter, rejuvenating life into possibly something that was on its arse, dead and buried, and bringing back I'll be honest with you now, right? If it wasn't for the fact that 1047 had done a massive pre-hype, I don't think Halo would be as big as it was.
No, I think you're right. I think the OG Halo players would be all over Halo.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think actually there's a whole new kind of group of Halo players. Thanks to Splitgate.
Yeah. And do you know, I know 343 worked with them a little bit. Okay, maybe that's got something to do with it. But the fact is, when you've brought out something that causes that much download in the first 24 hours, where you're having to run out and secure extra funding to buy server space because you've got the recipe right first go. People want a slice of your cake and you've not got enough cake to go round. Then surely some recognition by the industry's got to be given.
Yeah,
Right,
I think they've just been hard done by.
Well, I think, again, and I seem to be pointing out the inadequacies of the Game Awards, and I think this is like, it's going to be a running, like, sort of controversy as it goes on. A lot of people criticize it for the fact that, like, not free-to-play games, but games as a service aren't included because, obviously, they run concurrently, so it's not re-released every year, but it is technically re-released every year, but it's never admonished because it's not in that year bracket.
Yeah.
Game Awards are sort of like, for the same reason that Forza came out at the end of the year and wouldn't have the critical reception as something that came out at the beginning of the year, so it couldn't be a contender for Game of the Year. I think what's the name falls on the same bracket. So unfortunately, Splitgate actually came out in 2019, technically, and therefore would never come under the umbrella of the Game Awards 2020. And as we all know, Splitgate was a commercial failure on Steam. It was only revitalized massively when it came to consoles as a free-to-play. So rightly or wrongly, it's another casualty of the remit of the Game Awards, which definitely needs looking into. It definitely needs looking into. Because as games have evolved, so should the Game Awards, surely.
Yeah, well, they do have a best ongoing game category, apparently. So it should, if anything,
for that reason, like, it should definitely be in there then. Splitgate, like you said, I agree with everything you've just said, but Splitgate should be in that category.
I think what's the cut-off date? November. It's got to be, games are going to be released on or before November the 19th. So you're looking November the 20th to November the 19th the following year.
I'm just pulling up now the old ongoing category.
Considered. But
where are we? Best ongoing games. I've just been looking at it there. Best ongoing games: Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, Final Fantasy 16, Genshin Impact, and Fortnite.
I think you get people really excited there. Do you mean that Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah, I'd say Splitgate should be in that category.
Yeah, definitely should be in that category.
Well, where the hell's Rocket League as well?
Yeah, Rocket League. Yeah, it's definitely not ongoing game.
It's so sorry. Yeah, I think you're right there. There's a lot of questions to be asked there, as you know.
Things need to evolve, yeah.
But also, why are we accepting their awards, gentlemen? Why don't we just make our own?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Voted for by our listeners and viewers.
Today, the Academy Council Awards ceremony.
Hey! That could be next episode.
The Ultimate Game Awards.
I think definitely. So what? Yeah, guys, keep your eyes out on the socials. Keep your eyes out on Twitter, on Facebook, on our socials, because the voting may begin soon.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on YouTube or you've been listening on Spotify, are there any games that you would have expected to see in any of the categories that you think have been hard done by as well? I mean, the game of the year, like the actual game of the year category, is so weak. I honestly, and I'll be honest, right? Psychonauts 2, fun game, but I personally think it's been put in there because they put Ratchet and Clank in.
Yeah, they needed a standout Xbox title to go with the standout Sony title.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I played a bit of Psychonauts, and I wasn't like massively into it myself. But I remember at the time it came out, it actually got rave reviews. Like everyone was hailing it as like the platform of this generation, something that recaptured that, recaptured the old school platform that nothing else has. And I think from that sort of point of view, it did a lot better than Ratchet and Clank. Like Ratchet and Clank was built up so much, and then when it came out, it was just a bit like, oh yeah, it's a bit, it's really good. It looks really nice. It looks really fancy. It looks like a Pixar film come to life. And for all the touting of like Sony's, one source and this cannot be replicated on another console, I think it could have been replicated on another console. From what I played of it, the bits where like the rifts would take you from one world to another. It was very
like Crash Bandicoot.
It was very lackluster, and it was sort of like, what's the word now? It was the only time it actually happened was like scripted pieces, like most other games. In fact, I'll go as far to say the only game that actually did what Ratchet and Clank claimed to have said it done didn't actually score very well, and that was the Medium. In game, you actually did shift from different worlds.
Yeah,
like Ratchet and Clank claimed to do.
Oh,
it's just it wasn't a very good game. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was a solid 6 out of 10. A good effort by Bloober. Please don't do Silent Hill.
Yeah. I mean, like, coming back on Psychonauts for a second, what Psychonauts did do really well, I'm not sure if there's a category for this, but accessibility features.
Yes, I can understand exactly what you mean there.
They did absolutely phenomenally well. You could literally turn on as many accessibility features as you want, like so literally God mode, all that kind of stuff, and it wouldn't restrict you from getting like achievements and stuff like that. Now, yeah, obviously those kind of systems can be abused by players who just want to go through and grab all the achievements. Right? But actually, most importantly, it made that game accessible to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what you're going to do. If you're paying the money to play that game, then you surely, it should be your theme park. You're not going to get any accolades on YouTube for being like, brilliant.
Well, this is it, and obviously, like we've already mentioned, like your AAAs are like the last hand in poker, aren't they? We've seen it all. Yeah, we call E3 the deal. Everyone sort of shows what they're going to be doing. And, this is what I might do with my hand, but you're not going to see. And then all holding the cards close to the chest, and then they do like a little sneak peek, and it's like the first round. We see the 10 card come, and everyone's like, oh, right, okay, the flop's out. We know what they were planning out. What are they holding in the pockets? We don't know. The 10 card comes. Oh, there's potential they're leaning in towards this way. The battle royale mode, they're leaning in towards that way. The survival aspect, and then right as Christmas hits, bang, they show the hand. But by that point, they're already out the running for the game of the year and stuff because they've waited so long. So they're in next year's game of the year. And it annoys me that companies do it, but I understand the business model, the whole Q1, Q2, 3, and 4 thing.
Yeah.
But when you look at this year's potential hands you can pick from, and you look at previous years, it seems weak as hell.
I think this is largely down to COVID.
Yeah.
Like the devs being like struggling to work from home. I think it's also a symptom of like the quality of a crunch. And I think I'm pretty sure Activision have talked about this, and I think it's a rumor at the moment, but I'm pretty sure the COD the COD development cycles going to a two-year rather than an every year. I know Ubisoft have just done it themselves and said, obviously, you're not going to get an Assassin's Creed every year now. It's going to go to the whatever model they're bringing out, Assassin's Creed.
Do you know what? If it turns out anything like Valhalla, for the best.
Yeah, well, Valhalla's going to be the only one they support for a second year, not because of that cycle change.
Yeah, and obviously with other games we've seen this year, it needs to happen, and I think consumers are happy for it to happen.
Yeah.
So it's best for both worlds. It's best for developers. They're not going to get crunched. They're not going to be forced to get games out to meet shareholders' expectations. And it's better for us because we're going to get hopefully.
You said this, did you not, in the pilot last episode? Yeah. Battlefield was given a free pass.
Yeah, just release it. Yeah. And you know what? If they released it in February, it would have been a contender for Game of the Year.
And it would have had the market. It would have had the market. Yeah. We'd have all gorged out on Halo over Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, like a good fine turkey. We'd have gorged ourselves. And when you're looking at the turkey curry in January and you're like, oh, I need something fresh. And along comes a big meaty, beef burger in the form of
I think if EA had gone to DICE and said, do you want 3 or 4 months?
Oh, hell yeah.
DICE would have ripped their hand off. But it's definitely we need a strong Q3, Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll be. You know what, guys? Right? Okay.
Income. We need that income to show to the shareholders.
Maybe we should use our contacts and see if anybody of us knows a developer, and actually see if we can get them in on the podcast to give us the developer side of the argument. When you're under pressure from a head studio to try and meet deadlines. So that'd be interesting. That's something for the pipeline, guys. Stay tuned, and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, as you say, they were given a free pass, and EA just looked at the checkbook. They looked at the bank balance, and they just said, "Right, no, it's got to go out." Don't know how much of that is pride and ego, and how much is looking at the checkbook. And we've got to go toe to toe with Call of Duty.
But I think as well, like if they're released in February, who the hell are they going to go against? Like nothing is in their demographic in February. Dying Light, Elden Ring. Dying Light went gold yesterday, by the way. Elden Ring. What else coming out in February? There was loads, and I can't remember.
Oh.
No FPS.
Loads of it got pushed back, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or cancelled. But yeah.
But this brings me to the biggest thing, really, for the video game awards. It's not actually the awards themselves; it's the trailers. So, given that, what are our predictions for for what's going to be announced? Because we all know there's going to be a few we already know about. We're going to see more of.
So,
but Jeff Keighley's been hinting a big title that he's been working behind the scenes on that's going to shock a load of people. So,
what? Do you know what? I'd be surprised if we didn't see any Elder Scrolls 6. I think we've got possibly something there. I think, are they going to hint or tease about The Witcher 4 now that we've started developments on that?
I don't think it's far enough. I don't think it's anywhere near.
It's literally just drawing board now at the moment.
I think it's storyboarding. There's too much going on with Cyberpunk and the Witcher 3 next gen editions to even think about like putting anything down digitally for Witcher 4.
Yeah, they've only just started to scale back the Cyberpunk team, haven't they, in order to kind of get them working on other projects. So I think, we are at the point now where it's probably going from storyboard to development, but not far enough that we're getting.
I did see earlier in the week on a couple of the gaming websites a couple of images and stuff about Star Citizen, potential new stuff coming there as well. Which will be
$400 million trailer.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Just on a dead quick tangent, very quickly. Did you happen to catch the news about the guy that bought the low poly yacht on a game that's now not being developed, and he paid $650,000?
Oh. I mean, I think that's one of those things that might become famous in its infamy.
Like the EVE Online stuff and all that. People
like the ridiculousness, the actual urban legend, the story of it itself might make it profitable, even though the game wasn't.
Just
because
find an Easter egg in another game at some point as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
the grand mythos of the actual stupidity of it will make it sort of, oh, I need to have that kind of thing, like a once in a lifetime NFT.
We talk about trailers so quickly. I think one that's already dropped, and I think they might do a deeper dive at the Game of the Year Awards because of, it's Sony are really heavily involved, and the partnership is with Sony, and that's going to be the Call of Duty Pacific Warzone trailer. Now we've already started to see trailers dropping for this. This is due to go live on December 19th. 18th if you already own Warzone and everything. You get 24 hours early access on Vanguard if you already own Vanguard. The Pacific Island that they're using now for the new Warzone is essentially just, renamed places, as in, well, airport's still airport, and docks is shipyard, and like factory and mines. They're not very original with the labeling of the systems again, and it almost feels like, that Verdansk has just been copy and pasted one more time. And I swear, if that happens now, even with a new lick of paint, Verdansk,
it'll be a revolt.
Yeah, I do as well. I don't think COD players can hold up for much more BS with Verdansk.
Yeah.
I've
when
already
said
said
you're going to get a whole new map after the nuke went off.
Yeah.
And it was just 1980s.
Let's go round again.
Yay!
Yeah, I've already said that. Like, for me, unless there's like a new Rebirth map, I'm pretty much out of it. Really, I've got no time for it.
Pacific Rebirth would be cool.
I'll jump in with some friends and I'll probably play a few games, but like I'm not going to be diehard at all. Like I'm not going to play in much free time as a solo player. I'm done.
Yeah, I said to you guys, was it yesterday, that I will jump in, obviously, so that my opinion is based on me actually trying it rather than just crapping on it for the sake of crapping on it. But
not that we want to crap on it, but
no, you know what I mean. But
that way.
when you get a bit disillusioned with the game, you do kind of start going, you just kind of start like growling at any mention of it, don't you? Really, but I'll jump in, and if it surprises me, I'll be honest about that. If it just feels like Warzone repainted, then I'll be honest about that as well. I've got no hopes for it. I'm not going in expecting it to blow my mind.
Do you know what? I think this is the big thing as well. We're not going in as fanboys and we're not going in as haters. We're going in as neutrals because there were some things that Warzone did. You can't knock the fact that Call of Duty have the perfect formula for the arcade style pick up and play game.
Yeah.
I think
they've got it, and the Battle Pass, we've mentioned it before. They've nailed the Battle Pass formula.
Yeah. The big thing, the one that's going to be the massive game changer, not just for me, but I think for a massive part of the player base, is whether Ricochet works.
You mean the thing that's already been hacked? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they'll probably see a boom for a month or two of people jumping in and trying it out. And then once they realize that these cheat makers are always one step ahead of the game, it'll drop again. I think there's a lot of people who, they're holding out hope for it. And, we'll see if it gets delivered. This might be another case of, as Junky said before, devs promising one thing and delivering something else.
Oh, same old.
But coming back to what we're expecting as well, maybe this is me being hopeful, but I've noticed a little bit of extra activity on the Starfield account on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think
and it's due out next year.
Yeah, I think we'll see some Starfield.
Yeah.
We've had that in-game footage trailer, haven't we?
They released more concept art like today as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just little bits over the last couple of days. They're just dropping here and there. And I honestly think we'll see something.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Xbox went big with Series
Starfield,
X.
Sorry.
Oh, Starfield, was it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I have seen some. They released some concept art of like an astronaut in his orange spacesuit and his daughter and stuff. And they're starting to tease like backstory stuff. So that's going to be interesting to see.
And don't forget, Game Awards was where Xbox dropped the very first kind of blow your mind trailer for the Series X as well. So,
watch it. Don't have to appreciate the awards being given out,
yeah.
or the fact of who's won them. A bit like the Oscars, but you know what I mean. Who won what? Very good for you. Now let me see what you got up your sleeve. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I tend to watch it more for the what surprises are we going to have?
World premiere.
Yeah.
World premiere exclusive. So here's my predictions. So one we know we're going to see some more of because as I alluded to, it's gone gold. We're going to see Dying Light. Probably going to see an actual trailer. Dying Light's very interesting because the first time we saw this was 2019 at E3. Obviously, it's been through development hell since then, and they've hired and fired a lot of different people. Again, insofar as promising so much and getting back so little, do you remember the first original trailer they showed at E3 and what they actually promised us?
Dying Light. No, I get Dying Light and Dead Island mixed up sometimes. So I remember the Dead Island trailer where the runner and the tended zombies. The Dying Light one, wasn't it the potential of multiplayer at night and stuff like that?
Yeah. So it was like set in Qatar, the first one, and then they had like Predator mode where like at night all the zombies became like predators, and it was like
that's right.
You can play as the predator. So Dying Light 2 was set. Premise was it was set 20 years after the original Dying Light, and the world sort of like scaled back to a sort of post-apocalyptic dark age. So crossbows and sort of like people have regressed into like sort of like night sort of type gangs. Looked pretty cool. Like it was all big sort of scale portcullises and stuff like that. But what they promised was a No Man's Sky style algorithm where like every decision you made had an outcome that would branch out. But the way they said it would branch out was like open-ended, so that there was certain scenarios that you could not even foresee that could happen. To me, it just sounds like a disaster. It sounds great when you're saying it, but it just sounds like what you're saying doesn't exist. There's not the technology to make that happen. The coding is not.
You're actually wanting real life in a game, and it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what's actually come about because obviously it's been 3 years since that, and I'd imagine what we're actually going to see, what we're actually going to get. I have very much tempered my expectations. I mean, I didn't even have the expectation we were going to get what was shown. So it'll be interesting to see tonight what that game actually looks like after 3 years.
Well, I was going to say, no doubt, due to the power of editing, we'd have re-seen that trailer there somewhere.
And how much people actually remember about what was said about it 3 years ago. But I've got quite a few people that are quite excited to see what it's like. I know a lot of my friends really like Dying Light. Me personally, I've never been into zombie games that have ridiculous durability issues on weapons. I don't like weapons breaking down after 3 hits of a zombie. And I'm not a big fan of first-person parkour. For me, a perfect zombie game would be a hybrid of doing that style. Be a perfect hybrid of, say, Assassin's Creed and what was the one that came out on Xbox? Dead Rising. Imagine a Dead Rising Assassin's Creed. That's my parkour zombie dream. So that's I guarantee that's going to be shown prediction. My big prediction that no one knows about. I think we're going to see BioShock.
There have been rumblings.
I'm pulling it down.
I'm
laying down the gauntlets. That's what I think is the big.
A next-gen BioShock. Take my bottle caps.
That's what they're gonna. That's what they're gonna end the show on. That's my prediction.
Do you know what? I would. Yeah, definitely. I mean, BioShock is just such an underrated series, anyway.
So to finish off, guys, what are your predictions? What are your predictions for a game that you know has not been announced, but you reckon might be?
Ooh.
Don't know. You know,
it's been a while. I could see them possibly dropping at Gears.
Ooh. Interesting.
Gears 5's had its longevity now. It's been out a while. We need some sort of reiteration. There's been no major DLC for it. The esports scene has had a redraft, a relick of paint and stuff, and it's reviving. I think it's about time we moved on with the actual canon.
Okay, yeah, I'm game for
Yeah.
that. That's a good shout. Ewok.
You know, I don't know. I mean,
He wants Splinter Cell. We know that.
yeah, we all want Splinter Cell. Let's be honest, but we're never going to see that. I don't know. I think the games that I'm looking forward to are already kind of lined up. If you get me.
Okay, right.
So
Division.
Well, if you
there's one game, but it's not gonna. It's just never going to be shown because it's only just been put back into development by Ubisoft, and that's Skull and Bones. But we're not going to see that.
Oh, please. Do you know what? After playing so much Atlas, I want this game now. I need this game in my life.
When they announced it, like what 2018 was it? I signed up for the beta, and then it just got canned. And then it was like, no, we're back. I was like, but I can't see that coming up. That'll be a Ubisoft event at some point in the next 14 years, I think. So,
right. Well, if you're not going to pick one, Ray, I'm going to pick one for you. So I think two other potential big games that could be announced that have not been shown so far, but there's been rumblings about. Epic might show Alan Wake 3.
Oh,
you know that's in development.
Yeah.
Sony might show Silent Hill.
Ooh.
Naughty.
Now the interesting thing is, I'm very much contemplating now. Do we cancel stream our reactions live?
Ooh, I might be in work. I'm gonna let me check. What day is it on?
10th, I think.
I'm live from the FC.
9th or 10th?
Let's have a look.
I do believe is it the 9th? The games are it's December 9th live from Microsoft Theatre in Los Angeles. Yeah, there you go.
The 9th, so that is.
Ooh, I'm on days, so I could actually potentially stay up and do it.
Whoop, whoop. So that is next Thursday.
What do you reckon, guys? A live council award show podcast.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I would certainly be up for that.
Let us know in the comments on YouTube and your
socials
podcast thing. Podmatic and Spotify. We are expanding rapidly.
All of our socials, by the magic of editing, will at times be scrolling along the bottom.
I love the magic of editing. It's so nice. Quickly, we'll dive over to our last subject that we were going to talk about today, guys, and that is adaptations. So what do we mean by this? When you take something like The Witcher, for example, that started life out as a series of books, and then somebody went, that would be a hell of an RPG if we made that into a game. And then the game outdid the books. And then somebody said, I reckon Henry Cavill looks fit in leather. And then Netflix were like, take our money. and then Netflix were like, yeah, we want a piece of that because Mama liked that. Mama liked that. And then the next minute we have a series. There have been very few adaptations that have done well. Now, unfortunately, the whole market is stigmatized by what the hell they call that Super Mario Brothers movie. Don't get me wrong. I understand it's a cult classic, but it did not have anything to do with the games and absolutely ruined potential movie crossovers. However,
I don't think it was alone in doing that.
No, however, it's fair to say, Street Fighter is a legendary cult classic. However, though, Miss Jolie happened to just save the industry, I think.
Yeah, Tomb Raider. Yeah.
Yes, the Tomb Raider game, or films, you should say. So, gentlemen, if you had to pick a worst and best adaptation ever from game to screen, what would you pick?
Ooh. Worst. Yeah, you can't go anywhere but Super Mario. You just can't.
You can.
Oh, God.
Every Resident Evil film after this first.
Oh, he's got a point, I forgot about that.
The first was like, it wasn't great, but it was fun. It was a good time. I can get on board with it. And then everything after that was just like, it was just, who was the director? Was it Wes Anderson, was it? Wes Anderson just basically pimping out his missus. as like this superhero. I didn't need to see any more Alice. I like Mila Jovovich, but no. And well, actually, I've not even seen Monster Hunter, but it looks terrible.
Oh, you
know
take
what?
that back.
You know
Well,
what? It's
the film,
actually
you've seen it. Have you
it's
seen it?
yeah,
It
it's
looks
good.
Yeah.
I've got it. Yeah, it's good.
Nah, it looks
I
terrible.
enjoyed it. I really
No,
enjoyed
no,
it.
mate. Okay. Oh, this is so hard now. I've never wanted to punch someone through a screen so much. I mean, love you now. No, to be fair, with Monster Hunter the film, okay, so it's one of the more recent game adaptations, and it's understandable to say that because of the stigma that the whole genre receives, they knew they had to try and keep it as true to as much as they could. So yeah, Mila Jovovich is there and she's doing her thing, and at times it gets a little bit meh. But when it comes down to the actual that, you know, recognizing the parts of the game, stupid stuff such as with the Monster Hunter series, and fans of my streams and obviously Ewok streams and of Capcom as well will know it's the little nods sometimes that just make it, like the cat chef, the music playing in the background, the when Ron Perlman makes the appearance as the officer, and it's like he looks identical to him, the weapons used, and then they do the crossover events in the game as well, and it really ties it out. It's so well done. I mean, if you want to look for absolute steaming piles of shite,
Final Fantasy Spirit Within. Blast from the past.
I don't believe you just said that.
Yes, visually, it was the best thing ever released. In
Yeah,
actuality, it was just like, what the fuck is this?
it's like everyone used to sit there and say these cutscenes are just like a film. Imagine if they did a film like this, and then they
Yeah,
didn't. It was like, what the hell was that?
I'll go one thingy with you, and I might get crucified for this myself. But if we're on the Final Fantasy thing, Advent Children,
It was all right.
I thought Spirits Within was better than Advent Children.
Advent Children was just a big nod to the fans, really, and a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot of sort of tying in the random stupid stuff that they brought in afterwards to keep the new stuff going, which didn't make any sense.
For me, the best adaptation there has been is probably, and I know I'm going to get massive support on this now, the last Tomb Raider movie. Because
Odyssey of the Kanda.
yes, watching the game or playing the game, then watching the film. If you hadn't played the game, you could watch the film and knew exactly what had gone on. And if you'd watched the film and not played the game, you knew exactly what had gone on. Or you played the game, watch the film. You know what I mean? Either way, it was a situation whereby two different people that like two different forms of media could talk about the same subject at the same time in the same detail to the same extent. And I think it was a massive bridge crossed.
Yeah, and as a film as well, it was brilliant. It wasn't just like, it's helping to kind of bring these two medias together. I think just as a film, it was a good story. It was well made. It was well cast. I mean, I've heard like rumblings that they want to reboot the Tomb Raider film franchise again, but I don't think they need to. Just like tie Odyssey of the Kanda up to more films and you know, and go with that, because it was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it really was superb. We talked about the Monster Hunter film. Obviously, I loved it. I mean, the graphics they've used for the Diablos and the Rathlos in it sell it. It really does sell it, and it makes it absolutely beautiful. And for fans of the game, they're the little gems that you pick out of it. Yeah. But I can't praise the Witcher series enough. Netflix have run, because not only have they based it enough around the game so that game fans can get it, but they've also given it a massive nod and based it off the books, which meant that again, another
heavily based on the books.
Yeah,
another series and another category of fans, but being able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I remember when it came out, a lot of people turned around to me and said, I like it, but like I'm just so confused. I don't really understand what's going on. Ooh, and I was sort of like trying to explain it to them. So it is quite convoluted what they've done. So it's actually based off two separate books. The first series is based off The Last Wish, which is a series of short stories. So every episode is based on a Last Wish story. It's also based on the second short stories book. One of the stories is from there. So it's a mix of the two short stories books. And then the overall arch, the series story that starts off, that's based on the first book in the actual series,
Yeah.
Blood of the Elves. So it's confusing for a few people, for quite a few people. Like, what the fuck's going on?
I think a lot of people that watch it didn't really pay attention, if you get me. So if you're watching it and actually weren't playing on your phone, you were watching it and paying attention to what was being said, you understood the time jumps.
Yeah.
I think
but
it's
if you weren't
also
really
hard...
picking up on those little cues, you were kind of going, hang on, wasn't she like there and wasn't she older? And it could be confusing in that sense.
You sort of person that managed to grasp this as your Game of Thrones fan, because we were so used to jumping around with like different things going on at the same time.
Yeah. I do think though that with the success of The Witcher, and Henry Cavill's already said, they want to do 7 seasons. He wants to do 7 seasons. If they let him do it,
that's because he's a massive game nerd himself.
Yeah. But I personally think The Last of Us got greenlit simply because of the success of The Witcher.
Do you know, I can't wait for that. Is one series I am crying out for. I would love to see the adaptation of that.
I think The Last of Us was always going to get greenlit, to be honest. And I don't think it was actually greenlit because of The Witcher. I think, if anything, The Last of Us was probably greenlit because of the success of Logan.
Very true.
Like that companion parallel, to show that like something like I know Marvel's getting a lot of grief recently for like being popcorn movie, but showing that something can be evocative and beautiful as a film, and show it like an emotional story that has depth. And I think Last of Us will do the same thing.
Well, you look, everybody likes a good zombie story, a good survival story, right? You've only got to take, for example, the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead, when that came over from, let me get this right, graphic novel, over to TV. And then that did so well, and everyone bought into it. And then because they got ahead of the graphic novels and they had to try and write their own stuff, they got it completely wrong.
Yeah.
And therefore it died off. A lot of people stepped away, like myself. But now when you've got something that's already been fully completed, so you got, both Last of Us, and you've got the knowledge of where you want to take it and what not to do, I think it can only be good things.
Yeah.
It's HBO as well, and like, let's face it, they've not really made many wrong-footed moves. HBO,
except the last season of Game of Thrones.
But then again, that was another fantastic example of getting ahead of the source material.
Well, they had George R. R. Martin advising, and admittedly, it looks like George R. R. Martin doesn't know what the hell is going on with his own series, because where's the rest of the books? So,
apparently, isn't he involved in the Elden Ring as well?
Yeah, I did read something.
Only law side, only scattered pieces of law, so I think he'd be fine.
I did read something yesterday actually regarding George R. R. Martin and Game of Thrones, and apparently he approached them and said, "You need to do this over 10 seasons. You can't wrap up at 8, because you're not gonna be able to tell the story properly." And I think they were just like, "Well, we're wrapping up." So, but
so my favorite adaptation.
Go on.
The Castlevania series on Netflix.
Fair play.
I don't know if you guys have seen it all the way.
I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah.
Absolutely astounding. Like, absolutely loved it. The animation style, the stories it told, although not completely true to the games, it sort of like took bits and pieces from each game and sort of wove its own path. And completely okay with it. Absolutely loved it. The characters all had good arcs. The voice acting was amazing. I remember like watching certain episodes and just like sitting there after it had finished and just being like, oh, Jesus Christ. just sitting there in thoughts like this, because the Castlevania games have always been like, if you play them properly, if you look into them, you look into the lore, some of like Dracula set pieces and like the monologues, it is deep. And like it does, like, look into like those 3 a.m. conversations where you get philosophical and just break down the barriers.
It's been a while since I've had one of them.
And
Netflix seems to. I was going to say Netflix seems to have it right now because the Arcane series that is based around League of Legends. Oh my god! Never played League, right? I wanted to, couldn't get into it, but I've watched Arcane or at least a couple of the episodes. I'm in love. What a story! It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I started watching an episode this morning, and yeah, I'm so intrigued. I want to watch more. Didn't watch
Yeah,
all
I'm
the
on the
whole of the
last
first
episode.
episode. I think I watched the first 10, 15 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I've got to stick in this.
But
I think I'm on the
Netflix,
last episode.
Netflix has seemed to got it right because okay, we've seen the Witcher series come out, it's done superb. We've seen the Castlevania series come out, it's done superb. We've seen the Arcane series is doing so well. There's also a Monster Hunter series on there. It's a short animation series. I think it was a short movie. In fact, Capcom heavily helped in on the development. Everything was in there. The graphical styling looked like you were getting a cutscene from the game. All the weapons and the nods were in there. All the creatures you'd expect. Epic. And you're just thinking now, do I just want to go to Netflix to watch an adaptation of something? Because right now, that's where you're getting your best quality from.
Yeah,
wonder if,
they definitely get the quality on everything they're making. With that Monster Hunter one, I think you messaged me and I watched it later that day. The only criticism I had was they told a lot of story in that very short time.
Where they could have broken it down and easily made a series out of it.
Yeah. But it was incredible. I loved it.
I wonder if Disney Plus are going to make a Kingdom Hearts series.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
Watch it. I wouldn't know what the hell's going on.
No, I'm not going to lie, but I'd watch it.
To be fair, it'd just be like playing one of the games now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because it's 10 minutes of gameplay, 40 minutes of.
Oh god, yeah. But yeah, so adaptations. Let's guys in the comments drop your favorite adaptation and then your worst one. I'd be surprised if it wasn't Mario as the worst. It'd be interesting.
I can tell you one going the other way that I was heartbroken fell through. So from TV series to actual game. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but Firefly Online.
No, surprisingly, no.
Yeah. It was in development on the PC. They even had the cast lined up to voice the characters. You were going to captain your own ship. All this. They even had what was called the Firefly Cortex on Steam, where you could keep up with the game and all of its development and everything. And then all of a sudden, it just went quiet.
I'll tell you a more recent one of them that actually came to fruition, right? But it turned out to be the biggest pile of steam and whatever. And that was Defiance. Now, Defiance was a game made by Perfect World.
Don't let Ray hear you say that.
On Sci-Fi. It was so. So the idea was meant to be that the show aired on the Tuesday night or whatever, and then in-game events would happen on the Thursday night to reflect what had happened in that episode on the Tuesday. Except the game was broke when it came out. There wasn't much to it. Fell on its arse very quickly. There was a level cap system that killed the game off, and then the actual events in the game moved quicker than the show.
Yeah, it was, dude. I can't deny it. I enjoyed playing it. I love playing the thing. The fact that it was the first game and TV thing that was meant to be directly tied in was a big thing. Probably always destined to fail. But they recently re-released it 4 years ago, on Xbox One and PS4, and they're already closing the servers.
Are you surprised, Joe?
Yeah,
what was that?
I enjoyed it. Though.
On that one, actually, what was that Xbox game they did where they did you watched the mini-series, made the interaction?
Quantum Break.
That's it, Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Guys, the two different mediums, just leave it. Don't try and make something like that where you're going to put a game running in real time to a TV series because it's never going to work.
One of the big things from Defiance, and I thought this was really cool, if you managed to kind of win the competition, is at one point they ran competitions where your in-game character would be seen in the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the armor and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, obviously not a talking man, it was just some guy dressed up in your armor, but it's kind of pretty cool. But yeah, it was destined to fail. I don't think it had the studio support it needed.
No,
sci-fi project.
The biggest screen of it all, cinema screen. There's been very few things that have made the adaptation now to the big screen because that's where it generally, because you're putting on a bigger podium, it falls flat. I mean, you've only got to look example for the Assassin's Creed series, Michael Fassbender. Now, we thought that the film, for what it was all right. It could have gone a lot better. But there's something about making that jump from the game screen to the silver screen and putting the AAA title behind it. I mean, for God's sake, you could call most war films Call of Duty these days, because they all seem to be cut from the same ilk and they're all dead similar, or Battlefield for that aspect. Although you can't not say that the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan was never Medal of Honor Frontline. It always has been, always will be. So similarly cut. What game would you like to see adapted to the perfect silver screen film?
Oh, right. So the game that I always wanted adapted, and they did adapt it, but they did it wrong. Was Warcraft.
Oh, of course, yeah. I forgot about that.
I mean, after watching the film, I thought
enjoyed it.
actually they should have made the series, because there's so much lore. There's so much lore in Warcraft. It was an all right film. It was an all right film.
Chinese loved it.
It was an all right film. That was it. It was
amazing in the Asian market, Ray.
It did. You can't deny that. I can't deny that at all. But
Triple
I watched it and I was like, it's a good film. It's not a great film. And with the amount of lore, actually, they should have adapted it to a TV series rather than a film.
It's no surprise what I'm going to say. No, I'm going to watch the TV series. I've watched all the little B movies that have been out, and I've watched all the little Microsoft-made films that have been by it. But one of these days, there will be a AAA Halo film, and I cannot wait. I mean, if that doesn't get greenlit first, and we get the Gears of War movie starring Dave Bautista, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'm not bothered.
You've got Halo coming to Paramount Plus next year,
but it's not
a series.
Not the film.
It's
series, not the film.
Yeah. But I think whether we'll see a AAA film will rely heavily on the impact the series makes.
Junky. Come on.
Controversial one. Well, not a controversial one at all, but probably a bit of a I don't know. I think you'll go, ooh, yeah. Did you ever see Coraline?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like the people who made Coraline to make Little Nightmares.
Oh
wow! That's how left field, but actually that sounds really, really good.
It's the perfect, like, the game. It took me like 2.5 hours to complete it. You can probably complete it in a much shorter time. So there's not really like loads to it. It's perfect for like an hour and a half animation, and you don't even need dialogue really, because there's no dialogue in the game. I think it'd do really well. I think the team that did Coraline could make a game out of Little Nightmares, and it'd be absolutely really brilliant for like adults, maybe young adults as well.
Okay,
could make it.
Do you know what? I mean, obviously the other way around, there's been so many adaptations of games made out of films, Toy Story, Bugs Life, mainly the Disney ones and stuff, and they've always been terrible. They are basic kids platformers. That's all they ever are. That's all they ever will be. Even the Small Soldiers game, I remember that. Now, I actually enjoyed that, to be fair. The Small Soldiers game felt really good compared to some of the other stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. The future's promising. But right now, the future goes with a big N on it. Because it seems that Netflix have got the mark. And HBO, hopefully.
Yeah. It's no surprise that Netflix are investing so heavily in their animated series, for example, and all of their own kind of stuff, like The Witcher. They're not relying on other people to make it and then buy it. They're kind of just plowing away with it, and they're the ones saying, "This is the standard we want if it's going to go on our platform, so we're going to make it." And as long as they keep doing that, I think we're onto a winner in terms of all the content we're going to get to see.
Definitely. Talking of content, don't forget, guys, make sure you're following us on our socials. Myself, Volio, streaming on Tuesday and Thursday nights. The Traumatized Ewok, wherever he is around the screen, goes live on the old Facebook gaming every once in a blue moon. And the only way to catch his pretty face is to catch us on YouTube here at the Old Man Junky. Gentlemen, I think that's going to be a wrap for today. I think we should call order to the session.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, guys, follow us on the socials. As I say, you can catch us on Spotify if you are listening to that on here. Thank you so very much for the audio version. Although we do have pretty faces, so catch the YouTube version as well. Don't forget to leave the like, subscribe, hit the follow button, leave your comments below. Let us know if there's anything you want us to communicate with you about, talk about in the games industry. Hopefully, like I say, we'll be able to hook up with some of the game devs soon and get their side of it, because I think that'll be very interesting to hear.
Definitely.
Until then, guys, I've been Judge Volio.
I've been Judge Ewok.
And I'm Judge Junky. Council adjourned. All rise!